You know, we have only 4 modules in our here tax audit, direct and indirect. So last class we discussed module 1 or chapter 1, we can say. Today we will discuss module 2. I are just preparing it only for individual income tax audit, and next that would be the corporate tax audit. So within this chapter, we will discuss few things. As all you know it, because what the income tax law consists of, particular direct, indirect, process of return by DCT, and few. And after completing that all module, we will go for a few practical math for audit purpose. So here, if we see, as an auditor, we know we have to understand something, and all within the recent data in the tax purpose. For example, you are the tax advisor, but if you work in any organization, if you work in the audit purpose, also you would be the tax auditor within the organization. Basically, we know that tax audit is the audit that authority do that. That means, for example, in our country, we have the National Board of Revenue, the person, that means the DCT, who are the real auditor for the tax audit. So we know the current fiscal regime in Bangladesh consists of direct and indirect tax, and we also know that tax also include customs duty, VAT, supplementary duty, personal income tax, corporate tax, etc. So we will discuss today personal income tax. And we know this just budget declared for the year 2020, and 22, where total resource will come. That means we have seen here 6,036.81 billion. And look here, there is a 3,000. That means here total budget amount 54%. 54.7% comes from the target for the revenue NBR budget, and within 54.7% here VAT only 38.7% of the total, and import 11%, income tax 31%, supplementary duty 16%, and others 1.5%. So here we have seen that there is a lot of pressure the indirect tax, for example VAT. And we know the personal and corporate income tax, that means here the single largest source of income, and as per our tax ordinance. And we know it clearly said that we have the tax law, that means income tax ordinance, we have 1984, rules 1984, we have the specific SRO, gazette notification, and also a few items for judgment of the previous any high court division or any law, so Supreme Court or appellate divisions. And physical income, direct source, indirect source, we have seen here that also within that law, also including that law, support for our revenue. Some are Central Excited Salt Act 1944, and also the that means Customs Act 1969, etc. So if we see here, this is the graph from the paper. Bangladesh tax GDP ratio over the years. Year after year, tax GDP is here showing that in the year last year it is the nominal, and also within the South Asian region, our tax GDP is less than any other country. And also we know there details of revenue received. This where revenue comes for the NBR. Revenue received from the tax revenue, NBR tax. That tax means tax on income and profit. Also VAT, value added tax, import duty, export duty, supplementary duty, other tax that collect by the NBR. And some revenue, government revenue, comes from non-NBR. It is the, we know here, that collect Ministry of Commerce, tax of vehicles, also Ministry of Land, land revenue, also stamp duty, that means non-judicial, that is Ministry of Law and Parliamentary Affairs, that authority collect that. There is the non-tax NBR. And also another non-tax revenue is, for example, dividend profit, interest. For example, if you keep your money in the bank every year, they deduct 10% AIT on your interest. So that amounts a huge amount. For example, I am working in Agroni Bank. We have seen that means, for example, 6-month interest, if impose all account, because we have 2 crore accounts, so only interest, if you deduct 10%, who have the TIN number, only 10% deduction on interest is come 150 crore taka only interest income. So after 2 days we will going for pay another 100 crore taka for the interest income to the government. So this is the huge amount, but nominal, but huge amount. So also sometimes fine, penalty, that type of that means non-commercial sales, sometimes defense receipt, also post office income sometimes, and capital revenue, etc. All the non-tax revenue. So this total received, that the revenue received for the government. And we also know the what is the area of tax. That is our tax audit area. There are two types of tax, direct and indirect. And also we have seen here the income tax. There are 7 headed, that means 7 categories. Within these 7 categories, we have specifically, that means tax audit area. Here, if you see, if we are individual, we are salaried person. So here, tax audit comes here. Also sometimes interest on security, also tax audit. Income from house property, same way the audit. Income from agriculture, audit. Income from business profession, capital gains, and other. So all under the audit. How this audit complete? That means, for example, salaried person. I am the salaried person. So when organization pay the salary to the bank account, before paying or disbursing, they have deducted, because they are the deducting authority, they deducted the AIT on salary, that is monthly basis, and that monthly basis deduction they deposited to the tax authority, a specific zone. And that tax authority taking that, and also quarterly have to submit the return, how much deduction, how much money deducted each and every employee. And that NBR, they are going for integrated bank account with the NBR server. For example, any deduction, but that means when we go for the e-filing, because government is encouraging for return submission through the online. So e-return filing will be introduced this year, and that will be implemented from the July or August. So they are working on that. For example, you have the car, so every year have to pay the advance tax when we renew our tax, taken the tax token through the BRTA. So that amount also include with the NBR server. So within the BRTA, they integrated through the API NBR server to BRTA server. So if any PIN number just enter to the system, that system count that amount that which the owner of the car, that deduction also include within this system. Same way, you have the bank account, or we have the bank account. So if bank deduct how much money on the interest and how much money they credit in our bank account as the interest, that amount also will include with this server. So how it is possible? And they are integrating all banks, and we are committed because of the government organization, and all bank will include the within the inverse server, because at this moment what is happening, if you have 4, 5, 6 bank accounts, but we are showing only 1 or 2 accounts, but major account out of the net, that means that amount we are not showing in our return. So that would not be possible in future, because if NBR run the system, run the TN number or national ID number, all including the, because you and I, when we open the bank account, we have to put the TN or NID. So this is the unique number, and authority, if search through the number, then all within the system, because if integrated all authority within the NBR, within the central server, that would be possible. And also another thing, government, Ministry of Finance also doing the IBIS++, one of the software within the country, the government revenue, within the single account, all within the IBIS++. So any system, for example, if you go for buying any Sanchoy Patro at this moment, all within the system. Without your national ID, you can't buy yourself Sanchoy Patro. And not only that, you do not go for collecting or disbursing the interest amount, because when time over, all amount will directly go to your bank account. No need for any application. So that system is going on. So within, as a salaried person, what would that we are taking our exemption sometimes, we need the tax exemption also, we need the that means our rebate amount, claim of rebate, all that item through directly come to the system in future. So this is the only salaried person. And sometimes interest on security also, for example, I have the BO account, I am investing in capital market. If I do not show that amount within the return, so NBR will not find it. But at this moment, all within the bank account, TN number and NID. So near future, all item will come with our return, and we do not put that item automatically. That item will come our e-filing return. So that means when it is implemented, that time we will not be able to escape anything. So same way in our house property. So we have the if our income from the house property, what area, that means you have the one flat of Dhanmondi area. So if you show that your revenue, that means your house rent per month, for example 20,000, but this city said that no, here 30,000 per month, your 1,500 square feet within the Dhanmondi area, your house rent must be 30,000 per month. So this can be disagreed, but in future, if your tenant, Bharatiya, they have to put the that means your bhara to your bank account. So that also another item. And sometimes agriculture. So agriculture item, we know there are flexibility, because we have our country's land of agriculture. So they have the flexibility, and future that would be imposed in the tax rate also. Income from business proportion is a vital thing, and this is the highest item for revenue earning, and also capital gain and some other source, where 1 to 6 do not fall, then it comes to the other source. So that is the tax area also. And indirect tax, we know, is the value-added tax and excise duty. And taxpayer compliance framework, this is, if we see here, is the taxpayer compliance. For complying taxpayer, that means we have the tax policy, we have the law, rules, regulation, and we have to educate it. And if we get proper education of the tax, then we will get the our proper service from the tax authority. We will know everything, and tax enforcement complies with that. So it is the cycle of tax compliance. And if we see here, economic compliance that drive to the institutional compliance, social compliance, individual compliance for the tax purpose. That comes tax compliance behavior within the SSC. And for that, we need to education, we need to proper understanding, we need to study, we need to research, etc. So dependent variable is that here there are some variables for tax compliance and our framework also. If we see the independent variables, that are tax, that means audit, that means penalty, profit, that means probability deduction, our tax system, our tax compliance cost, tax knowledge, etc. Are dependency variables, tax compliance, submission of return, payment of tax, that have to here the tax compliance of other country. It is not for our country, it's taken from other countries. They have that type of dependency of variable and independent variable. Based on that, they are working. So if we see here, look here, the revenue collection, that means that heavily depend indirect tax. If we see the last 5 years, it's taken from the newspaper, last 5 years structure, for example, 2021, here look, indirect tax, 68% of total India tax, direct tax 31%. So day by day, indirect tax net is going up. So if we see, this is our last budget, here said that 21-22, not yet passed by the parliament, but here if we see the figure, this is the highest budget in history in Bangladesh, and within 15 years. So within this budget here, we know that here taking the inflation consideration, inflation and GDP growth here determines 7.2%, and also our annual development program 2,25,000, and we have seen here the budgeted target for 21-22, and growth GDP 7.7 and inflation go down 5.3%, calculating that total revenue 10.8% of GDP and total expenditure 16%, and budget deficit 5.8%, that means nearly 6%, is the highest in the worldwide. And also if 2021 till April, we have seen here as declared in the NBR, their collection in each and every point. And if we see the government collection source of tax, bank interest and income tax ordinance, value-added tax, etc., and all provision barriers to of excise salt here. Also we have seen it also the tax compliance, bank deposit, if you have that, how much deduction bank are doing. So it is easier for bank, because bank are using the system CBS and bank software, and within software they input the ratio or rate. So if run, that means scope up, then all deduction within just few minutes or few hours, because if the accounts is huge, for example, we government bank, they have the million accounts, so all they run it, so they take 1 or 2 days for cope up the system. But in a small bank, it is a 1 hour or half hour that can run all system. So here, deducting all through the system, that amount directly deposit to the another tax authority, because they have the specific tax zone. We know some, for example, LTU, the larger taxpayer unit, and also the tax and VAT both. And also we have the different steps: tax zone 1 for the deduction collection, tax zone 8 for the that means our professional and others. The different steps, we know it. Being a tax profession, we have to understand all things, we have to learn all things. So here we know the submission of return. There are two basic way for submission return. Some are normal, some are universal. So within the normal, submission of return first, that means after submitting the return, that they can notice, so that DCT, hiring date, and assessment complete, determine the tax liability is the normal process. And universal self-assessment, if we see here, after submitting that, acknowledge receipt, we are taking the certificate, is the, if no problem, that is okay. But when DCT think that is there are some deficiencies or anomalies, they take the notice and taking in the audit purpose. So this is the, if we see the future, our tax authority going for introduce all systematic, that means through the system they will do. It is the one of plan of NBR in future. If you see here, for example, we are the salaried person. So at this moment, that another thing also happening, salaried person, where a lot of employees. For example, in Sonali Bank, they have the 20,000 employees. Ogdoni Bank, 13,000 employees. So within this 13,000 employees, every month deducting tax. So our submission of return, that means submission of our challan, the monthly one. That monthly one challan submit, that means supporting by 13,000, the 13,000 employees deduction at source on salary, supporting only one challan. So how NBR or DCT think that amount is accurate or not? That is also the tax audit through the NBR. So it is going to happen in future. For example, our banks, they will generate an Excel file within the all names, a TN number, and how much deducting, total amount, and that total amount with the support of the challan, they send it to the NBR, a specific tax authority, or they will give us the software link, we will upload it. So that file also, a separate server keep the NBR, and when e-filing will start, that run the TIN number, that TIN will find out how much deduction done by the authority or organization. So it also the digitalization, also the automation is going happening. So that is the formula. Look here the employer and any organization, they employer all employees and NID, TIN, etc. within the system, and taxpayer, they file the tax return through the internet or base software. NBR take the data, and within the data through the NBR server, they complied it, and that time in future also, it also can be happen blockchain technology with used by the NBR. So that time all bank account will integrated with the NBR server. But at this moment, if NBR want to do this, so it would be a fear in our taxpayer, because there are some businessmen, they have the different types of accounts in the bank, and they are submitting different types of financial statement also. Sometimes they that means submit the financial statement, audited financial statement to the banks. They are showing that huge profit. They have the possibility in future expansion the business, and based on that, banks are calculating their working capital, future plan, project planning, and based on that, bank sanction the loan. But same organization, same entrepreneur or same businessman, they submit different types of financial statement to the tax authority. They are showing that they have the loss. So do not need to pay the tax based on the profit. And also there are different types of statements showing in the VAT authority also. Though VAT and tax both are the different wings of NBR, but they are the separate, but interrelated but separate. That's why NBR introduced another system. Tax and VAT authority, they will share the information each another for understanding or taking the good thing that the organization or that means that businessman taking the submit that financial statement, it is the correct or not. Also, that is can be verified through the C Institute of Chartered Accountant of Bangladesh. They have introduced another new system also. So all are going for the integration. And if we see audit here, NBR accepts the most tax return as filed, but to ensure the accuracy of voluntary compliance, NBR audit a variety of return each year. When a return is selected for audit, the DCT sent notice to the individual. We know it. This notice will ask to submit information required for the audit. Some auditors conducted entirely through the recipient, and other audit may require face-to-face meeting. So that audit meeting may be occurs DCT office. If you want to represent a person, that is we are that person, so we can go for formally. So DCT asks for a document that means different types of document can be asked: income or expenses, receipt and purchase, bank statement, transportation log, travel meals, etc. And you know, if we your driver's salaries, your housekeeping expense, all within the statement, that have to be asked it, because actually that was DCT the right to ask anything. After the audit, accept of tax return file, issue a notice. That means if we agreed, then okay. So here is the in our country at this moment, all within the going for the system for the IBIS++. You know it. So this is the IBIS++. This is the one of the software. This is integrated software. So owned by the Ministry of Finance. So here within that system, including in Bangladesh, NBR, all types of things, all government payment received all through the IBIS in future. So this way is working at this moment. And this is the IBIS. IBIS means integrated budget and accounting system. Integrated budget and accounting system, purely government system. And here what's they doing at this moment, all budget preparation, budget execution, general ledger accounting, all within this system. And here budget preparation is in different modules here. So use this key module. Who are using that? Finance division, all ministry, all directorate, all department, even the field office and autonomous bodies, all are using through the system. And budget execution module also within the system, accounting module there, use finance division, ministerial all, and also the government pension fund. What is, look here, online submission types of bill, online budget control, online etc. all type payment, government, সঞ্চয়পত্র, government interest, everything within the system. So we are user it, controller of Auditor General, chief accounts officer of the government, district accounts officer, উপজেলা accounts officer, all within using that system. So this is the vital system. And also CSE, controller auditor general, and also the link with the IBIS++, which is the updated version, is working as the excellent electronic platform here, saying that. And now audit for the past, if we see, before going that, we'll share it is the basic thing for audit plan, but for the tax audit, this audit plan for the chartered accountant, this audit plan for any type of audit, here tax audit, others audit, but our revenue audit or tax audit, they have the separate plan, not based on that, but we know it here. That means require for audit working paper. For example, we are working in different type of audit, but tax authority also, they have the plan for tax audit. They have the criteria choosing the audit purpose. They have the specific item. They have the different types of criteria, different types of things. For example, where tax assessee, where escape some item that can be within the system. So we can see this way. One thing for understanding here, look here, few item, then you have to understand what is the, for example, here saying that they are that means tax provision is taking here, look here, 8,87 lakh, look here, and here, look here, the withdrawal within this report, 24 crore. So look here is the huge amount withdrawal. So that would be the question. And also here, seeing here, purchase of property, plant, equipment within this year, that means in the year 20, that was, look here, 41 crore 13 lakh amount payment for the equipment purpose or property, plant, equipment, that is a fixed asset. The 41 crore taka payment. So how auditor link with that?